Good. Right. Well, let's crack on with our main segment of the day. We've got our retro movie review. So I can't remember who gave what film to what. I know I gave my choice to Nate. Yeah, that's right. My choice to Nate. Nate gave his film to Dave, and Dave gave me a film to watch. And Nate, what was the synopsis of it? It was just pretty much any film, wasn't it?
Any film before 1995, I think we came out with, which I think we should change to any movie before 1990. Let's get them really retro. Yeah. So yeah,
they all were anyway, weren't they?
Yeah,
they were.
This lot was very retro.
Yeah, I think I had a look at some of the movies between 90 and 95, and there's some really good movies there that probably I wouldn't class as retro. So,
okay. Well, I gave to Nate Big Trouble in Little China, Kurt Russell classic. Nate, what did you give to Dave?
I gave Dave The Dark Crystal, because I am nice like that.
And Dave, what did you give to me?
The original 1980 Superman movie with Christopher Reeve.
Yes. Who wants to go first? Should we go order in year? So Superman was 1978. Nate, what was yours?
I didn't do research, Russell.
Mine was 82.
Yours was 82. I think it was the 80s, wasn't it?
I hope so. I'm just having a look up it now.
Yeah, so am I.
I suspect yours was more like
86.
86, yeah. So I'll go first then. So 1978. So I did the original Superman. So it's fresh in my memory because I literally watched it just before we recorded. However, I was doing some other bits and pieces as well. But yeah, the 1978 one. So I've not watched this for absolutely years, and I think I probably only watched it once or maybe twice at a push, maybe. So I couldn't really remember much from it. I started having a little look at the research at the same time as well. My favourite fact of it is how much of a prick Marlon Brando is. That was my favourite fact. So he's in it as Jor-El. And this was a part of his career when he'd had some stinkers in the 60s, but then he came out and he did some classics in the 70s. And then towards the end of the 70s, he was just taking really high-paid jobs and just doing small cameos. So he did, right, 12 days of shooting, okay, and managed to get paid 19 million for it in the 70s.
That's mental.
My favourite fact of this, though, is so he only did 12 days and he's got minimal lines. So, because obviously he plays Jor-El, the father, and he decided he didn't want to learn any of the lines. He refused to do it. So he made the dialogue be laid out on cue cards that were placed in his eye line. Sometimes they stuck them on his co-star's forehead so he didn't have to learn it, right? Yeah. The really touching moment at the start where he sends his son off to Earth, yeah? And it's all nice and stuff, and he's talking up. He was reading the lines off the baby's diaper as well, yeah? And he was that much of an arse, he really didn't want to be in the film. He just didn't want to turn up for shooting and get ready. So he wanted to be, when he's died and he comes back, and it's like this face and stuff, like the hologram and all that sort of stuff. He wanted to come back. This was his idea, right? He wanted to come back as a bagel or a green suitcase so that he didn't have to turn up on set and he could just record his voice.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. So that was
the 70s. Good time for drugs.
That was my favourite moment. But hey, let's get back to the film. I thought it started off quite slow to begin with. It took a little bit to get into. And the one thing I didn't really like was his father, not Jor-El, the other one, in Kansas. When he died, it wasn't very emotional, like, because he died quite early and you hadn't really got to connect with him. I think in the reboot of it, the Man of Steel one with Kevin Costner, I thought that was directed better, like when he passed away and stuff like that, because you got to know more of him beforehand, whereas they kind of rushed through that, in which case you didn't really feel any feelings for Superman, that his father, his adopted father, had kind of been killed off as well. But yeah, then it starts to pick up a little bit, and look, it's very cheesy. Obviously from the 1978, very cheesy, and it's a bit strange seeing him as Clark Kent because he's quite a bumbling Clark Kent, and you just pick the first time where you meet him, and it's like he's coming away from his first day at with Lois Lane, and they get kind of like robbed, don't they, by that mugger, and that mugger shoots him, but he catches the bullet. But then he falls down and like faints. He's pretended he's fainted in front of Lois Lane, and throughout the whole film, he's like this proper loser, and which is quite cool. But then Superman comes out, and he's very good. The graphics and the effects for a 1970 film is very good. And when I looked into it, had a budget of 55 million, which at the time was the highest budget of it was the highest budget of any film of all time. For it, and you can kind of see like it's actually pretty good, the effects, because it's similar to when Star Wars came out as well, the first one, and the special effects there quite revolutionary, would be the word I'd use. So I was quite impressed by those.
Just with the budget, I do know that it was directed by Donner, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure he was filming the sequel at the same time.
Yes, and that's what else I found out, is that they filmed the majority of the second one at the same time as the first one, but then he had a falling out with the right. Yeah, and so he left. I have just found out as well, they have actually released the Donner version of Superman 2, like because of all the fans come out and said we want it. So I think it was like 2006 in memory of kind of Christopher Reeve when he passed they released that version as well. But that's a good shout. That might have been why the budget was kind of like double, and it'll be interesting to see what the budget was for the second one, whether it was separated. I didn't like Lois Lane very much. I wasn't really a fan of her. The bit that was really cheesy is when Superman has come out for the first time, and then he goes to Lois Lane's apartment to get like an interview from her, and then they fly up to the sky, and she's kind of
drops her.
Yeah, and they're falling in love. And then after he drops a date, and she's like narrating her thoughts because she's asking him if he can mind read and stuff like that. And then it's just her narrating. Oh my God, that is so cringy. I just thought, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, she's saying stuff like, "Oh, you can fly to me anytime." I was like, "Oh God, that's awful." What
did you think of the first bit where I think Superman first appears when she's in a helicopter accident? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and it's quite impressive, and the music comes out, and you know what? It's a really good introduction to the character. I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah,
Dave, as he steps out for the first time, and a couple of the people downstairs on the ground, are pointing at him and things, and then he flies up, and you're like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool."
Yeah. So and then he catches her, and he goes, "I've got you," and then she goes, "You've got me."
Yeah, who's got you? Yeah. But when the thing I found in this one is that when did Superman become like the super James Bond? Because he's got all the ladies after him as well. So the part where Lex Luthor gives him the kryptonite and he puts it around his neck and throws him into the water. I can't pronounce her name. He's a complete. Is it Teshmike? Miss
Tessmacher.
Yeah, that's it. She's like all over him and stuff, and she gets him out and gives him a little kiss, and he's like, "Oh, why did you kiss me before? Oh, I didn't think you'd kiss me afterwards." I was like, "Oh, you fly! You're so slick, Christopher Reeve." Yeah. But, the Lex Luthor, and it's pretty good. I found out that the budget for Gene Hackman's wig was 52 grand per day, apparently.
Whoa!
Yeah.
No wonder the movie cost 54.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was a very good. I actually really enjoyed it, Dave, I have to say. When was the last time you watched it?
Me, I think it was on TV just like randomly, probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And
I watched it. But other than that, I probably haven't seen it since a kid, but I was born in 75, so it used to be on the TV and we'd have videos all the time in the early 80s, so I've probably seen that movie about 10 or 15 times, I reckon.
Yeah, well, like I said, I actually really enjoyed going back, watching the introduction for it. One of the first superhero films, and it was interesting reading about it as well. So no one wanted to play Superman at all. They offered it to loads of people, and they all turned it down. And then the agent was like, you need to get Christopher Reeve. You need to get Christopher Reeve. And I think he's brilliant in it, to be fair. And rest in peace, Christopher Reeve. What a legend.
I still have fond memories of that movie. Do you know the Man of Steel movie that came out 5, 10, 6 years ago. Do you know one of the biggest outcries about that movie was that Superman snaps Zod's neck, and everyone goes, "Oh, Superman wouldn't do that at all." Blah blah blah. But correct me if I'm wrong. In the second one, Dave, when General Zod turns into human, doesn't Superman push him into the big abyss?
Just trying to recall.
Well,
to be honest, I can't recall. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I
do want to watch the second one now because that's my favourite one.
Yeah, that's a really I got really fond memories of that one too. But I'm just saying that in both Supermans, General Zod ends up dead. So stop your bitching.
So I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 is my rating.
How does it hold up though?
Very good.
You're obviously pretty impressed with the effects and everything.
Yeah, it does. Like when you understand and realise how long ago it is and how old the film is, it really holds up. Obviously, nowhere near what it is these days and stuff, but actually for the time and when he flies off to begin with, there's obviously a couple of bits that are a little bit, but no, generally the special effects are very good. I thought the story was pretty good from a good introduction to the character. Like I said, probably a little bit too quick at the start when his father dies in Kansas and stuff, and so you don't really get to feel that as I feel like you do in the Man of Steel reboot. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, 3.5, solid 3.5 as well.
That's good. And just how good's the intro music?
Yes, it's brilliant, and you get it right at the start as well. That's the original, and it'll always be it's a fantastic.
Yeah, I remember when I went to see Superman Returns, the one not so long ago. And the best part of that whole movie was the intro music, and gives you goosebumps and stuff. And then the movie happened, and then you go, "Oh my god, that was terrible." But anyway,
yes.
All right, so good movie, Russ. 3.5 on the POM scale.
Solid.
And now we move over to the Dark Crystal from Dave.
Yes.
I'm nervous about this one.
Oh, why? Have you seen this movie, Russ?
No, I haven't. I don't know anything about it.
Okay. So for those that don't know, it's a Jim Henson movie. So it's all puppets. I'm just trying to... there's no people in it at all. So it's all puppets. Come out in 1982. A big thank you to Nate for making me watch this, because I probably haven't seen this since I was about 12. So I got to say, I really enjoyed it. The special effects stand up pretty well in that, I don't know if you'd call them special effects, but the puppetry is really, really good. I reckon 70 to 80% of the movie was shot on a set, so like an internal studio set, and they've created in really fine detail complete landscapes, and the way they've got little animals and just little snails and plants and weird things moving around all the time, so it's just not a static set. The story is really good. There's a couple of bits where you just sort of go, "Oh, that doesn't stand up." There's basically one bit where they need to get somewhere really quick, and so they have these animals called land striders. And this is the worst bit. If you get a guy, put him in stilts and put him in a leotard, then make him sort of lean over and put 2 more stilts in his hands, and then he runs along on all 4s and give him a weird face mask. It is horrid.
Or I'd like to call that my Friday night.
It just looks ridiculous. Then the main characters hop on their back and make the distance that they need to in the short amount of time. And right at the very end, there is some very noticeable blue screen or green screen, whichever they were using back in the day. Very noticeable in the last 10 or 15 minutes. But other than that, I love this movie. I think it's fantastic.
So what's the overall premise for it, Dave? Because I remember watching it, and I remember I would have been about 8, so I was always scared. But
yeah, no, I understand. I can totally understand that for an 8-year-old. So the basic premise of the movie is it's set in a fantasy type land, and there's a legend from like about 1,000 years ago. What's the best way to describe it? So basically, there's some bad dudes that rule the land, and there's a legend that says a gelfling, which is kind of a little elf-like creature, will restore the balance. And basically, he's set on a bit of a quest by his old master who's raised him. He's supposed to be the last of the gelflings because the bad guys knew of the legend and basically tried to wipe them out. As luck would happens, he found another gelfling, a girl, and so they go on this quest together. And try to restore the balance, basically. So they basically move through a fantasy type landscape with all sorts of weird creatures and things, and it's the whole thing's puppetry, so it's really well done.
That's good. All right, so now the big question: what would you give it out of 5?
I'm going to give it a 3.5, same as Russ. So I think it holds up really well. It holds up really well, and like, I mean, if that movie came out now, I wouldn't go and watch it because it's really aimed at kids. But for, you know, kids from probably 5 up to, you know, young teens, I think would really enjoy that movie. So if you got kids, set them down and put that in front of them. There's nothing too scary in it that kids should be afraid of. If they're really young and a bit, you know, scared of some things, maybe not. But
you are making me look like a big pussy now.
I just assumed that was common knowledge. Yeah, no, there's nothing too scary in it at all. The bad guys kind of look like vultures. They're disgusting, horrible things. But
yeah.
And there's some cute little creatures called podlings that look a lot like the dozers from Fraggle Rock.
Oh yeah.
There's Dave trying to mention Fraggle.
Fraggle Rock, yeah. I love that show. But Fraggle Rock came out probably 5 or 6 years after this movie, I'd say. Late 80s.
Okay, maybe that's where he got the idea.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to hear my review now?
Yes, so we're a solid 3.5s all the way. Now, let me choose why. Can I tell you why I picked this film? So,
yes.
I think I've watched it once, maybe, but it was also my mum's favourite film ages ago, and I just remember having it on videotape, and I really liked the front cover. So when you told me to pick a retro film, that was the first thing that came into my head. So I was like, just watch that. It's a cult classic.
Isn't the cover? It's just Kurt Russell in a white singlet, isn't it?
Yes.
That's why your mum liked it.
But no, it's like a cult classic these days, though. It's got a massive rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that's why Rotten Tomato does nothing for me. Let me start off by explaining how I think this movie got made. You would have had the writer, the director, the producer, all in a room smoking copious amounts of drugs, shooting up, sniffing everything, and then all of a sudden someone orders Chinese food, and the fortune cookies turn up, they open up, and then this is where they start to get the idea for this stupid fucking movie. Oh my god!
Isn't he a truck driver as well?
And he's a truck driver, yeah. He's a truck driver. Oh, this is painful. This is like 2 hours of my life that I'm never getting back. I know this is classed as a cult classic, but this is possibly, if we were doing worst movies right now, I would have it as my number 3 or something, I reckon. It was bad. Oh,
what is the relevance of the truck? Because obviously that's on the front cover of the picture as well, of the film. Does that play... Honestly, I can't remember it. So does it play a big part or not?
I'll tell you what it plays, Russell. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
At the start of the movie, he drives the truck in. And then at the end of the movie, he finds his truck again and he drives it out.
And that's it. There's no reference to him being a truck driver. It's literally got no point in it. The fact that it's on the front cover kind of like makes it look like a Optimus Prime sort of Transformers thing.
No, nothing at all. You could replace that truck with a Mazda 2 and the storyline would not change.
So what's the premise of the film then?
All right, so Kurt Russell...
He's struggling.
Yeah, it's really bad. He rocks up and he's just finished a long haul or something. I didn't really pay much attention, and he ends up gambling with some little Chinese bloke, and then the Chinese bloke owes him money, so he has to follow him to pick up his girlfriend from the airport, where this Chinese gang kidnaps his girlfriend and some other girl, and then he's got to go and rescue them. And then he goes to, obviously, Little Chinatown. And then, next thing you know, they're just driving up to go find this girl. And the next thing you know, people dressed up like ninjas and stuff start walking down the street. And then there's other groups and then they just start fighting, like, with guns and stuff. Like, they're in this narrow alleyway, and, like, people with machine guns, and no one seems to get shot. It's like... It's just mowing down, and then they get, for some reason, they all put their guns down and start fighting with swords and stuff. And the martial arts is terrible. The acting is terrible. The storyline is terrible. But then that's just the start, Russell.
So it sounds like Iron Fist.
I'm already bought into it, I'll be honest with you. So you've got trucks, you've got guns, and you've got ninjas, and you've put them together. I am bought in.
This is what I'm talking about. They came up with all these ideas while they were high, because there's no other reason. But then it gets worse. Then bloody Raiden from Mortal Kombat turns up with two of his mates.
Oh, class.
I don't know what they're doing there. And then they start...
Christopher Lambert.
Not the actual guy from Mortal Kombat, Dave.
Oh, okay. It's not the actor. Right. Sorry.
No. It's they have that basket thing on his head, on their heads.
Oh,
and they start fighting and they seem like invincible, but as the movie progresses, they seem less invincible. And then there's this old Chinese bloke there as well, and he's got mystical powers. And then Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City.
Mm-hmm.
She turns up. I tell you, I thought she was bad in Sex and the City. Oh my! How does this person get work? She's woeful. Everything about this movie is woeful.
Hang on. I'm going to take a guess. She gets in the movies because she's willing to get her tits out. Did she?
She doesn't even do that in this movie.
Ah, well, what's the point?
Yeah, and Kurt Russell has got all these cheesy lines, like chat up lines for her and everything, and it's just Russell. And then there's, for some reason, there's like this monster. Sorry, I missed a bit. They end up to find these girls. They end up going down into some like lair kind of thing. And there's this monster that looks like... do you remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Secret of the Ooze?
Mm.
And they had those two. They had those two mutants. One was a turtle, and one was like a wolf type thing.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, this monster looked like a wolf thing. But it did nothing. I don't understand why it was in there. This is crazy. You have to smoke drugs to enjoy this movie.
Was there no explanation as to why the monster existed?
Not that I paid attention to.
I'm reading the plot on Wikipedia, and I think this is my favourite line. I think this pretty much sums the whole film up, Dave. You ready?
Yep.
It literally just said, this is the whole sentence. Egg rescues them with a rope and kills Lightning by dropping a stone Buddha statue on him. That's what it says.
That's not a sentence I thought I'd ever hear.
Yeah.
It was so bad, and it was just. Thank you for ruining my day, Russell. Yeah, and for people to call it a cult classic, I don't know why. Like, it's that bad. I think it's one of those movies that is that bad. You enjoy it for that reason. Like, how stupid is this? And that's possibly the only reason people would go back and rewatch it, because I will never, ever, in the rest of my life, watch that movie again.
I'm scared to ask, but what would you give it out of 5?
-1.
-1.
Oh.
A -1. Okay. That's a strong rating. That's the lowest rating we've ever had.
It is by far the worst movie I've seen in the last 20 years. Do you know how I feel about Star-Lord dancing at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy? How I hate that scene, and you guys hate the Martha scene in Batman vs Superman. It's like those two scenes got together, had a baby, and out came this movie.
Oh my goodness!
All I can say is you are welcome.
Oh no, thank you. Because finally, I've had some things to say on this podcast, and I've let go. So yeah.
So I think if we wrap this segment up now, what a successful segment, I think. So me and Dave got to watch some pretty good films, and now you got very angry. So I think that's a successful segment.
Success all around.
To be fair, the last time we did a retro review, I had E.T. and gave it a 5, and this one I went to a -1. So all right, so that was good fun.
Good. Well,
I enjoyed.
Well, I enjoy watching the old school ones, and we can we'll bring it back again in a few weeks' time, won't we?
Do you know what? Just quickly before we do it, the first 5 minutes when he's in the truck and he's gambling with that little Chinese bloke, I actually got into like that 5 minutes. I go, oh, this is going places, and then it just went went to shit.
I just don't think your brain has opened up and embraced the imagination of this actor and this director.
I mentioned that at the start, Russell. I don't do drugs, people. So that's the only way you could possibly enjoy it. You'd have to be off your tits.
Good. Well, hey, look, that was our retro review. And at this point,